This is Communications Director David Fernandez, and welcome to the final edition of the 2013 Working Families Lobby Corps Session Update. In this final week, many of the priority bills affecting working families hit the House and Senate floors for a final vote, and activists from across the state flooded the Capitol ready to stand strong against the attacks to Florida's workers. On Tuesday, the Senate brought up its final vote on SB 862, the so-called parent trigger legislation. The contentious legislation, which would create a divisive and purely political process allowing outside corporations to run campaigns that would turn public schools into for-profit charters, brought a heated debate to the floor.
So I'm opposed to this bill. I say let's give let's take care of our teachers' funding. Let's take care of this new core curriculum. Let's make sure that our schools are well maintained. Let's give our funding, which we should be doing here in the legislature, to our public schools, and then let's think about how that will help the kids, because that's the one entity, the one group no one has spoken up about to now. Let's think about the kids.
Simply put, we all know the quote that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And too often times we hear the statement on this floor, what this bill simply does is ... And what I'm telling you, simply put, as someone who represents those failing schools, is that we need to make a commitment as a body to better impact those communities that are in question in a positive way.
Not one parent ever called me to support this bill. And if it's the Parent Empowerment Act, then why is the PTA lobbying so heavily against this bill? The minute you vote yes, your PTA is going to call you and say, "What were you thinking?"
Working Family Lobby Corps members watched from the galleries as senators punched in their votes on this disastrous attempt to privatize education. Mirroring the vote from last legislative session, Parent Trigger failed to pass the Senate on a 20-20 vote, bringing an eruption of cheers from parents, students, and activists sitting in attendance.
And so the bill fails. Take up and read the next bill.
On Thursday, the House voted on the Tallahassee power grab, HB 655. After Senate amendments earlier in the week, a much more watered-down version of HB 655 reached the House floor. This version of the bill is still an attack on local control by prohibiting communities from passing ordinances that would affect employee benefits such as paid sick leave. HB 655 passed the House on a 76-41 vote. After passing the House last week, pro-wage theft legislation came to a vote on the Senate floor. Political pressure by activists from across the state by lobbying, calling, and writing their legislators caused the vote on legislation that would make it nearly impossible for victims of wage theft to recover their stolen wages to be continually postponed. The people voiced their opposition, and HB 1125 and SB 1216 failed in the Senate, never coming up for a formal vote. This was a tremendous victory for local governments, communities, and victims of this rapidly growing epidemic. The attempt by legislators to dismantle the Florida retirement system also resulted in a stalemate this last week of session. The Senate rejected by a 22-18 vote an amendment that would have included language to close the FRS to all new hires and force workers into risky 401k-style Wall Street plans.
Make no mistake, if folks don't have a safety net, if they don't have somewhere to go, everyone in this room is going to be paying for the services that they need as we all continue to live longer and longer.
These Floridians educate the very future of our state, the future leaders who will one day pick up these microphones, make payroll, heal the sick, and defend our nation. And then I think of the thousands of state workers who turn the wheels of our government every day to make sure the roads are built, the taxes are collected, the water is clean, health services are provided, and the disabled are cared for. I, for one, know my constituents will need future heroes, and that is why I cannot and will not support this amendment, and I urge you all, senators, to do the same.
Let's consider those Floridians, both future and present, who want to commit their lives to public service and give them the option to commit that life and live a retired life that has some monicum of respect.
With the rejection of this amendment, SB 1392, a slightly better plan that still would have damaged the system, died on the floor, resulting in another victory for Florida's public servants. The final week had one of the strongest showings for the Working Families Lobby Corps this session. Activists from across the state, some on their second, third, and fourth visits, continue to keep their legislators accountable and voice their opposition to all the attacks on working families.
I'm actually up here on a first-time learning experience that has become very educational. I didn't come up to represent any specific cause, but once I've gotten here, found out that I'm representing all causes.
And I'm here this week in session to help our elected officials make things better for working class families and to help level the playing field for public employees, firefighters, teachers, and law enforcement, so that when we get to retire, we can live comfortably and affordably. That way we don't have to worry about anything.
I urge you to come and fight with me next year against the legislature's trying to destroy the middle class.
The 2013 legislative session brought many victories for working families in the state, with some of the most egregious pieces of legislation failing to pass. Here is a summary of all the priority working family bills this session. The Florida AFL-CIO would like to thank the thousands upon thousands of activists who took action across the state this session. From our local communities, our voices carried into the halls of the Capitol, and together we made a major difference. The sine die ceremony may signify an adjournment of legislative activities in Tallahassee this year, but as the working family movement continues to grow in the state, we will remain active and ready for the battles to come. Once again, people power prevails. Solidarity.